I'd like to call this meeting to order. The Finance Committee, Thursday, September 5th, 2024. I'd like to note that this meeting will be in person and is being recorded. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Mr. Guerrero.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So tonight, we have as we start the, finishing up the process of the Fall Town Meeting, we have a citizens petition on the Fall Town Meeting. I invited that group in to speak on their request. It's the health insurance study. They're looking to have Town Meeting approve. And as customary, we have them come in front of the, any group come in front of the Finance Committee to explain it. So tonight, we have Jim Griffith, Peter Knowlton, and the other gentleman in the back there is? Ambush, okay.
Okay.
All Town Meeting members.
Yeah, I'd just like to say, I mean, we just got this,
Yeah.
and I haven't been able to review it.
So, I mean, what they're gonna do is speak on it tonight. We're not voting on any of the articles
okay.
tonight, so they'll, and then next week, we'll have the full warrant to be voted on. So they just wanted to brief the committee tonight.
Okay, so who's going to come up first?
Peter.
Just say your name.
Peter Knowlton, 35 Buttonwood Road. Been a town resident on and off my entire life. I'm a retired union organizer, and I was with the United Electrical Workers. So in New Bedford, if you know Morse Cutting Tool, J.C. Rhodes, Columbia Electronic, those are our shops. So I've been negotiating health insurance for 40 years. I've seen how it's developed, how it's regressed over the last 40 years. I know a lot of the people who work for the town. I was active with the campaign negotiations in the school committee in terms of support role, helping people out during the last negotiations. I'm very familiar with what the town has to pay, what employees have to pay for health insurance, not only in Dartmouth, but throughout the state. So Medicare for All, I think most folks know, is basically taking the Medicare plan that we all have now over the age of 65, making it complete coverage of all physical and mental, dental, hearing, vision, and in Massachusetts' case, long-term care, and put it on a public basis so that health insurance would become a public right and it would be administered by the public. There would no longer be any private health insurance. So it's Medicare that we have now, administered in the same way, only for the residents of the state of Massachusetts. It's what the Massachusetts legislation is for any resident. And it's universal coverage. And it includes long-term care. So this legislation, 1239 and 744, have been in the legislature in one form or another for the last 25 years. Within the last 7 years, it had a major rewrite, and we're continuing to work with the legislature to fine-tune it. And what the major rewrite 7 years ago was the numbers on how much people would pay. All previous legislation, both on the state level and the federal version of Medicare for All, never had numbers. But 7 years ago, wise folks decided that they needed to put it in. And as a former union organizer, former union rep, who led many negotiations, presented many contracts to members, not having the numbers would be like us presenting a contract before a group of workers and saying, when somebody asks, where's the wage increase? And we would say, oh, that's something we'll figure out later. Don't worry about it. We'll just figure it out later. So this includes how much people are going to pay. And the basic setup with Medicare for All in Massachusetts and the Massachusetts Medicare for All Act is 2.5% of pay is what people would pay. You pay a 2.5% tax based on your 1040. Employers would pay 7.5% of their total payroll. If they have more than 100 people, they pay 8%. Self-employed people would pay 10%, because based on federal law right now, based on your taxes, you basically pay double. You pay as the employee and as the employer. So the legislation continues on that tradition. All investment income would be taxed at 10%. But nothing would be taxed for the first 20,000 of everything. First 20,000 of pay, first 20,000 of payroll, there would be no tax. So it's all of the income or the payroll after that initial 20,000. This would be paid on a regular basis, so that, for instance, when you get a pay increase, you'd have to pay a little bit more because it's based on your pay. Right now, as folks know, health insurance is not based on our pay. It's based on the premium, which is an artificial amount that is set up by the private health insurance industry. So to the degree now where most family plans are on the order of $25,000 a year for the premium. The town of Dartmouth, the split is 54-46. It's not, I mean, that's the average. Some of the plans are lower, some of the plans are higher, but they're within 2% or so of each other.
All right, can I just stop you? Is this law?
No.
All right, so we're a town, why are we discussing?
So if you look at the warrant, so if you have not seen the warrant.
I have not seen the warrant.
explains-
Okay.
The warrant explains that it would be a study that would be conducted by a group of people from town meeting, from the unions if they wanted to participate, from the finance committee and the selectmen, to nail down what the savings would be to the town if this legislation was enacted.
Okay.
That's where I think we start first.
Has the select board approved this committee yet?
Well, no, the petition article at town meeting is designed to ask town meeting to set up that committee. Have the select board set up that meeting, set up that committee. So they have to go to town meeting first to ask for that permission by town meeting to do that. That's what the petition article says, to engage in a study. That's what the goal is.
So why does it have to be involved? I mean, this is a state issue. Why does it have to be, the town have to be even involved with this? They could set up their own thing and do whatever, and do a presentation. Why does it have to, why is the town involved in it? I'm just,
Well, they
can
petitioned
explain.
the town.
okay, go ahead.
I can explain why.
Yeah.
Because the legislature won't pass it, and the legislature's refused to pass it for 30 years. Hasn't even gotten out of committee. Never has been out of committee. So, and the reason is because there's not enough pressure on our legislatures by town officials to get them to look at this issue seriously. And it is the towns and the school districts are the one that are paying the price for maintaining a system that is essentially robbing us. The savings to the town, based on this state legislation, would be upwards of $2 million a year. That does not mention how much additional it would put in employees' pockets who are now paying anywhere from $3 to $5 an hour for health insurance. So some paraprofessionals in the town, I don't know if you know this, actually don't make a paycheck because all of their pay goes to health insurance. So the reason why we're bringing it before this town is the reason why we're doing this around the state. MassCare, the organization, either through referendum or through town meeting or through select board meetings, is because we need to get our towns to support it, to understand it, and then to put whatever pressure we can on our legislators to pass it, because it's the only way it's going to happen. We can't just leave it up to Chris McCarthy, Mark Montague, or other folks. We have to engage the town in order for people to understand it better.
I don't, what does everybody else think about this? 'Cause-
Let Janine go first, and I'll follow.
Well, first, I'm just wondering, not so much about the healthcare costs, let's put that aside for a minute. Is there any financial implication on creating this study?
Yes, there is.
No.
There is.
Well, from
Because that's
the way-
normally what's on a warrant
So
article.
I drafted
There's
up the warrant, so the warrant does not say there's any financial obligation on the part of the town for the study. It'd be done by volunteers,
So there's be zero cost.
correct?
And then my second
It would be
question, if I
time.
may.
Sure.
Is there some reason why you haven't put forth a ballot initiative for the state of Massachusetts?
I'll tell you why.
In the state of Mass, well, it's been, do you remember the ACA, do you remember the Romney Care? When we got the Affordable Care Act, the Massachusetts version of it?
Yes.
And it was created. The reason why that happened is because there was a ballot question that was going to be put on the ballot in Massachusetts. And the negotiations were, you withdraw the ballot, and we'll give you a version of Medicare for All, but it's a bad version. Frankly, it's a bad version. So that was why Massachusetts got it. So ballot questions have been proposed in the past, and then they've been withdrawn for different
That's normally
reasons.
how something like this is put forth.
Yeah, so for us, we're starting at the grassroots level. We've been working at the grassroots level and continuing to make that effort because it's you folks, especially the finance committees, that have to deal with what private health insurance is doing to the financial structure of towns, cities, and school boards. It's devastating. I mean, the state would save $36 billion a year if we had this.
All right, Bill?
So-
Go ahead.
May I?
Yeah, Bill.
I worked in IT for private healthcare, if you will, and that's been an age-old argument going back to Hillary and Bill Clinton. They want to socialize medicine, and also they have talked about that for years, eliminating private insurance. And the question that was raised to Bernie Sanders when he ran is, okay, if you eliminate private insurance, then how will it be administered? And it'll be administered by the government. Will have to bring in the same people that were in the private insurance business to manage the Medicare, because frankly, when you leave that expertise at the insurance level and you try to transfer it over, there's a big learning curve there. And that's where the inefficiency comes in. And that is why the legislation never really got serious about it, because it would have been a tremendous cost to have that upheaval, if you will, from private insurance be brought over into the government. Because that's exactly who would be governing the Medicare instead of private insurance. That's right.
But it would not be, I would debate you on the efficiency issue,
Oh,
but
but
that's okay.
you can debate me all you want, because that won't, I can see it. I mean, it took me a while to learn the business, and I'm sure if you had somebody else who had just worked in a government office trying to learn the insurance, because there's a lot of nuances, ins and outs. It's not an easy business to learn. There's a lot of things about riders and enrollments and I don't have to tell you, claims and everything else. It's not easy, believe me. So that was always the issue, was what kind of cost would that raise after it was brought over to government?
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead, Karen.
Just for my opinion on this, I think that it's brilliant. I think that it's not gonna cost the town any money. It's gonna be a bunch of volunteers and we're gonna get solid data. It's gonna be a good study to show whether or not this is a good idea moving forward. Are the common people gonna save money? Is there gonna be more money in our pockets? Is there gonna be more money in the town budget? I think we're not gonna know that until we study it. So we can have all the opinions we want on it. I will add, that we are one of the only and few countries that don't have some sort of universal health care. So, and I think that is where we're headed. But I think if the study is not going to cost our town any money whatsoever, and I think if it's gonna be run by all volunteers, and it's factual based, and we're just looking at numbers to see if this is a good idea on a savings point, I don't see any reason to not go forward with it.
Terry, you want to say something?
What is the ordinance, you said Mass Care is what it's called? How are they gathering this information? What is their approach to bring this to the legislature to get it passed?
In terms of the finances of it?
Yeah, so say the study happens,
Okay.
it's written up, what happens with that information?
So what happens with the information, now that we get it, gets published. So if you go to the Mass Care website, and I included some of the information in the packet, there's studies that have been done on what the savings would be to the state and municipalities. Each municipality is listed based upon 2022 figures of how much each town would shave. And it's done by Professor Gerald Friedman out of the economics department at UMass Amherst and his staff, who's been working with Mass Care for the last number of years to maintain and to put together the financial data.
So somebody would take that information reliably?
Yes, yes.
So
And a
when I
lot of the
think about
information is readily available to us through the town. It's transparent, all the information is very transparent. Pretty much everybody knows what's being paid and who's paying what. But it'll help us generate a discussion about, and frankly, the reason I'm here is because the amount of money the town would save. Not to mention the employees. The employees would save such a huge, it'd be the largest pay increase the employees will have ever seen in the history of the town.
Phil, do you want to say something? Okay. All right. Well, this is my opinion. This is a national problem. Hillary Clinton was supposed to do a big thing when Bill was was president, and that fell apart. And then we had Obamacare, and that whole thing got pushed through. And they took on student loans, and now they're forgiving the loans. And then Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett, J.P. Morgan, Jamie Dimon, Google, I think was involved, Amazon was involved, some brilliant business people, and they said, we can't figure it out. I mean, if you want to keep on listening to this, I don't think this belongs in a town atmosphere. If you want to do a study, do a study. I think Janine is right, it's a ballot initiative, and I just don't think, in my own opinion, I think, we're a finance committee for this thing. Yeah, you're talking about saving money, but it's a state thing, and it's hugely complicated.
With all due respect, it's not.
Well, if it wasn't usually complicated, the problem would be to have solved by now. I don't see the value of continuing, and I'd like to take a vote if we want to continue listening to this. I mean, first of all, one, because we got this so late. But, I mean, I just don't see why, if they want to do a study, why the town's involved, I don't. Go ahead, Terry.
So I think that, the reason I asked what I did is that I have some of the same opinions in terms of national and Commonwealth's work on this, and the fact that, but I think about a couple of other things that have happened in the past 20, 25 years. I think about ed reform. That was one of the pieces of legislation that nobody thought could pass, and then it started at this level with people saying, this is you're breaking the back of the school, of the town where the school district is, we need help. And the only way it moved was by what you said, by pulling this information together. I do question the issue of costs, and I'd like to get some information from Gary, because while volunteers, it's time, I get that, but there's gonna need to be information from the town in order for us to study. I hope that it's not an effort to hire a consultant, because I would not be in favor of hiring a consultant to do that. But I think this is a way to approach making a change in an obvious problem. I'm sure there are pros and cons to this legislation. We got the pros. I think we'd have to look at what the cons were, and that committee would have to look at that and then offer an opinion. And then the idea that you would take that information, I don't see what the downside is for the town, but that's just one woman's opinion.
I concur with Terry on this, that I don't see a downside. I don't see a reason to not do it. I like numbers, I'm a numbers person. So I would love to see some statistics and how much money we might save if this did go forward, and how it would affect people financially.
I think what the finance committee really should be focused on for this article, this article in particular, is whether or not they support a study to be done. And it's a petition article. The gentleman's gotten the number of votes to put it on the ballot, on the warrant. So now the finance committee has to react to that. How do they want to support it? Do they not want to support it? And it's just a study. It's not, we're not.
Understood, it's
we're not-
just a study.
And I guess the question for the finance committee is, going into this, in the future, what do they see the cost of health insurance being for the town? So and necessarily, it's not just doing a study, it's what's the result of that study going to be later on.
Right.
So you're taking a vote, well, not tonight, but you have a week to look at this and digest this. They would come back if they needed to, with any questions. But it's merely just whether or not you support the petition article to have a study done. That's really what.
To Terry's point, though, it is a time-consuming effort for whoever signs up for this. This is a big effort.
Well, I mean,
You make a good point, Gary, that it's important for us to focus. We get a lot of information today, and it's obviously in support of this legislation. We're not being asked what we think about this legislation. We're being asked about whether we would support, at no cost to the town, a study of healthcare insurance. So I'm not seeing, just from it, I need to research, because I agree with you, Bob, we got this right before the meeting. It's not enough time for us to have an opinion about it. But I'm not sure what we'd be voting on. Are you saying vote on not hearing the rest of the presentation? Because I would agree, I don't think we need to hear the rest of this, because we got a lot of information to read.
Well, let me ask you, this, Gary, do you have other stuff that's on the warrant that we have to review
Yeah.
tonight?
Not tonight, no. So
this
we
is
don't-
it?
This is it. So next week, we have Buddy Baker Smith in for CPC. There's only gonna be about 11 articles. 3 of those articles, or 2 of those articles may not appear on the warrant. So, the warrant right now is being reviewed by town council, so it hasn't been finalized yet. We'll have the final warrant to vote on next week. So you have between now and then, the reason why I wanted to have them in is so that you can have at least a week to think about how you wanna approach or vote on or recommend this
Do we
article.
have the wording for the warrant article on this?
I believe he submitted that,
Is this
Those
it?
already?
yeah.
This is it right here?
End of July.
You have the write-up that I sent you.
Oh, that?
You have the write-up.
Correct, but not the final
Not the-
warrant
not the
wording.
Not the warrant, no.
Because, just in my humble opinion, it should state it will be at zero cost to the town.
I agree.
We can,
So I don't know what it says.
you know. Yeah, so the reason why I invited them in tonight was just so that the committee would have this information, have a conversation with them, so that next week, the committee can then make a decision whether they want to support it or not support it.
But I just want to see how the study's going to be conducted, what's going to be the component of the study, what's going to be the justification, what's going to be the ramifications, what's going to be the parameters of it. I mean, anyway, we could just say, oh, yeah, let's have a study done. Well, what's going to be in the study? I mean.
We do a lot
that
of
should-
studies, and they
that should-
cost thousands of dollars.
Yeah, that's right, but I want to make sure, that's right, Jenny, and to that point, I want to make sure that it's being efficiently done.
I think, to be fair, these gentlemen came out, and I think that they can answer a lot of these questions if we just let them speak. They
I don't
came
know
out.
I don't know what the questions are, because
No, they
I
want to
got
do a
this.
study, I want to see what's in the study.
So the study will strictly, the study would strictly be financial and economic. And out of that would develop a discussion about, because the warrant talks about
Okay.
making a report
All
to
right.
town meeting before the next town meeting.
And how deep a drill down will the financials go? That's my question to
Well, I
you.
think you drill down as far as you can, but there's
That's
only.
fine. That's the only thing you have to say to me. Thank you.
Yeah, I think you just drill down as far as you can. I mean, you don't leave any penny unaccounted for in the study. But the town has all the data. Gary has all the data that the committee would need to do the study and to do a comparison, which I think is important in order to go the next step, saying, okay. So for instance, Gerald Freeman's initial estimates are, in 2022, it would be a $2 million, almost a $1.8 million savings to the town per year. So not to mention what the savings would be to employees, because they would not be paying the outrageous amount that they're paying now on health insurance. So that was based on some initial data that was gotten through the town website and Freedom of Information requests from different towns. So that information has already been done, so it would be, but it's strictly financial. The study is strictly a financial
What you're
study.
really saying is, by eliminating private insurance, you figure if the government ran it, it would be done more efficiently and less expensive. That's what you're saying to me?
Oh, Medicare shows that it is the case, yes.
So it seems to me we're going to do a study, but it seems like you have all the answers.
I don't have all the answers. I have a particular idea.
Well, you're telling
What
us
would
we're
be
going to
best
save,
for
we're going to
us
save
in
$2
terms of
million,
health
we're
insurance.
going to do this.
Yeah, 2 million is our estimate. So it gives us a chance to drill it down and not just be so estimate, but to actually have some factual data in front of
Yeah.
us
Fine.
to move forward. I personally, for our perspective in terms of how we sort of as town meeting members view this process, was to start at the grassroots, to start at town meeting, talk about it, do some education amongst ourselves, figure out what the cost savings would be to the town, and to go from there. Just kind of, sort of. I know you don't think it is, but for me, it's kind of innocuous. It's a little bit innocuous.
Well, do we want to continue, the committee wants to continue?
Continue in what manner?
Let-
Do you have
let-
more to present?
Is there any more?
I don't know if Jim or Dan have anything that they wanted to add.
If these gentlemen have more to say, then they can speak up, but I think it's just food for thought right now, and then, when we have a chance to look at more of the, data or the information in front of us, then.
I need to
we
see
can
the
make a
warrant
more,
article wording.
Yeah. we
Yeah,
can make more
warrant, that's-
intelligent,
Yeah,
recommendations.
That's all.
Because we can't vote without the actual wording of the warrant.
Right.
Another benefit that I could see of such a study would be to educate town meeting on the issue of healthcare costs, because we know, because we've looked at the budgets, that they're pretty untenable, and this would be an opportunity. I think that if people were concerned about not having this put in place, they would join the study committee and produce the information against it.
So,
This is it.
Well, you have, did I give it to you? I gave it, no, electronically.
This gentleman's gonna be speaking or something.
so I
I gave that to you electronically. They don't have it.
I couldn't, yeah, the email's not coming through.
Yeah, so I have in my packet a spreadsheet, and it says Chelsea 2002, but it doesn't have any headings. I have no idea what this
I didn't know what this
is.
was either.
I'll explain it.
Okay.
So that was a packet I sent to Gary.
Okay.
In an email, I explained that is part of, I can give you the whole thing, but it's 17 pages long.
Well, I just want the heading.
Yeah, we don't have any headings to the
So the
spreadsheet.
savings are on the far, the savings to the town,
Be on the microphone because it won't be on the recording.
I can go through it with you if you want to, column by column. I just sent it just as a, it probably shouldn't have included in the packet. I could have sent all 17 pages. But it was one of those spreadsheets where the first line, on the first page, it has all the headings, and then it gets lost. Second 2, 3, 4, 5 pages. So the first column is the town, second column is the year, third column is the number of employees.
Hang on a second.
Sure.
I just want to put that in. Okay, column E. The next one?
Column C is the year.
Yeah. Column D.
D is the number of employees.
Please, column E is what?
E is the town budget, must be, that's what I'm thinking, is the town budget.
You want to look this up and send it to us afterwards?
Yeah, it might be a good
If that was
idea.
okay with you
That would
guys,
be-
I'll look it
that
up
would
and
be
send it
great.
to you afterwards. I just didn't want to put in 17 additional pages of other towns, but I neglected to,
We just want to know what the headings were.
Yeah, the
I
headings
will
on the
be
top
glad
would
to,
be.
I'd be glad to.
Yeah, it can't be the budget because it's 51 million and we're over.
Dartmouth is
It's
at 51
104
million.
for Dartmouth.
That's not town budget.
So, and this is also for my own edification, for me personally, is I trust Professor Friedman, he's been doing a good job on the studies, but I think we should do it ourselves. I think we should figure out whether or not what they're saying is correct. Because we know that when this legislation gains a lot more traction, the spotlight is gonna be on the people on the bill, especially in terms of cost, of what the savings will be, and that we better have our ducks in a row. So this is one way for us to know as a town for sure what the savings would be. I will send that to you. Sorry for the screw up.
State your name and,
Jim Griffith. I'm a town meeting member, retired professor of infectious disease at UMass. I've been around healthcare my entire life, and I'm just going to make a comment on the macro level. United States spends $4.5 trillion on healthcare every year. The World Health Organization keeps a series of indices on the health of a population, you know, the percentage of 50-year-old men who have their first heart attack and survive longer than 5 years, and the number of live-born children. And there's like 40 of these that the World Health Organization keeps track of. And for our $4.5 trillion a year, the best we do is number 17. Healthcare in the United States is in trouble. We're interested in Dartmouth. We're interested in what the town is paying for healthcare, and that's really our purpose. But on the macro scale, healthcare is in trouble. One of the reasons that Lifespan wanted to buy 2 Massachusetts hospitals was because the Massachusetts reimbursement to hospitals is 20% higher than it is in Rhode Island. And Massachusetts hospitals don't get enough. So healthcare is in trouble. Whatever the pressures for healthcare costs in Dartmouth, they're only going to get worse. So that's our focus. We just wanted to look at this, see if this is a way that the town can be helped in some way. And we don't have, none of the three of us own any hospitals or yachts or anything like that. We're just trying to advantage the town, look at the cost, see if it does anything good for us. Thanks.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
No, so I want to say.
Okay. All right, so, anybody else got any questions? I mean, it's hard to have questions because we're really getting, have a chance to look at
No, I
it. so-
think
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you have more information.
We see the article
Yeah.
and get a chance to read
Right
everything.
now,
The articles are being reviewed by town council, so once that's done, we'll have that here next week to vote on. So, in the meantime, you have all this data, and they had mentioned if there were questions between now and then, they would come back and
Okay,
that's good.
And ask them.
Maybe that should be the case then.
Yeah,
okay.
thank you.
So
Okay,
maybe,
thank you very much.
Peter, we schedule you maybe for next week, if you, just be here if you wanted to, if there's any questions.
Okay,
Thank you. very much, You're welcome.
thank you.
Okay. So as mentioned, just to give you a little timeline, the town council is meeting with us to go over the warrant articles. Those will be ready for next week. CPC, CPC, Buddy Baker Smith will be in to speak on his article.
Yep,
We'll have CIPC, will meet on that Thursday, which is the 12th. We'll have the departments in to speak on their requests. So that may be the only article, if in fact CIPC votes that day to vote to recommend certain items, I will have that article prepared for the night, for our meeting on the 12th. But if not, we'll have to have a separate meeting. But I think that we can knock out the majority of the articles with rationales next week.
You
I've
said
sent
there
a
were
draft.
12 articles?
12 and 2 or 3 may be deleted. So we may not have, we only have 9.
so it looks like this year is not gonna be a big,
Very small warrant. There are no prior year bills, there's no special town meeting. So it'll be just this petition article, if that's approved by council, and then, we have the stabilization account, which we plan on putting 500,000 in. We have the negotiation account, the 2 negotiation accounts, which we already have the
Yeah.
dollar amounts for. So, and then the CPC. So there isn't really much on the warrant. So I'm feeling next week we can pretty much complete it.
Of course, you're always so optimistic.
I'm-
yeah.
I know he is.
I'm hoping that
You know
that's
me,
the
I'm always
case.
pessimistic. Oh, there we go.
Glass is always half full, right, Gary?
Yeah. So, other than that, you have minutes and any liaison reports.
okay, any liaison reports, or?
I wasn't at school committee. Were you at school committee?
I was at the school committee meeting, yep.
Information for the finance committee?
Sure, yeah, let me review my notes, but they talked about budget again. They were contemplating asking for the override this year versus trying to maybe wait another year. That was talked about. They said the budget's gonna be on the agenda every single week, every single meeting that they have, so that we should expect to see them talking a lot about budget. Talked a little bit about the subcommittee, then they talked about their new strategic planning. They have a new page up for everybody to see. Dr. Saba McGuire discussed how the plan will be communicated with everybody in town in the future, she's planning on going to some PTO meetings and taking advantage of more technology for communication. She's planning on sending out personal invites to all committee members from both FinCom and Select Board for future planning meetings. That's basically it. Everything else was online on the YouTube. There wasn't anything else that I think that really pertains. Go, yeah. please.
I'm sorry to interrupt, if you're
No.
done. The strategic plan is online now?
That's a good question. She said it was going to be, but I
Okay.
don't know if it's officially on.
Okay.
We saw it on the screen, the first
Okay,
page.
but it might not be live
I
there
don't
yet.
think it's live yet.
So if
but the
I went
dashboard.
to the school page, I might or might
I-
not see a link.
Yeah, right,
Okay.
exactly. The dashboard, is completed, but I don't know if it's up
Okay,
and running.
that's fine.
That's a good question. I should ask that.
When's the next meeting? Are they gonna
That's
have
a good
Carrie?
question.
It's the end of the month, I think. I'll
I
give
have
you
it
the
on
date.
here.
Yeah, I got it.
You got it too? Okay.
September 30th at 4:30, the subcommittee.
That's the next subcommittee.
Subcommittee, yeah.
All right, I'll be around for that one.
Yeah.
Should be bad.
So, and I know, Terry, you were involved, go ahead.
September 23rd is the next school committee meeting, not the subcommittee meeting, but,
No, I
and then
won't
that's
be
the
there for
next
that
one.
one.
I thought they had a school committee meeting this coming Monday.
Do they? Let me see.
I
Yeah,
think.
they do.
Don't
Yeah,
do they?
Yeah.
You can post it if
Here
there
I
are
am
some.
already.
It is posted.
Oh, yeah, it is. You're right,
Yeah,
September
yeah,
9th.
yeah.
Thinking it's already past the
Do
9th.
they, have they posted what their SWOT analysis was yet?
I just went to the website, I don't see it. Well, the old strategic plan is still there, so.
Okay, but, because.
Oh, Is that the strategic plan that you're talking about?
No, yeah. When you do a strategic plan, you're supposed to do a SWOT analysis to begin with. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats.
Project management.
And that's the beginning of a strategic plan. So I'd like to, before I even look at the strategic plan, I'd like to see what the SWOT analysis is. And the SWOT analysis is supposed to come from everybody that's involved in the organization. And it's been a year. So
They did, yeah, they did the collection of information. I don't know how it was put in a report, but I know that
Okay.
they had town meetings, they had many surveys, focus groups, they
Yeah.
had the strategic planning team. So
That's right.
they took data from many different
Okay.
stakeholders, but I don't know what the final report
Plus
was.
they had an outside person, correct? I thought that's what I
They
remember her
had an
saying.
outside person,
Or
but they
team, I
did a lot
forget.
of the work themselves to save
Yeah.
money. They didn't leave it all to that person.
yeah, and they didn't spend that much money from what I understand
didn't.
on that person. Okay, well, we'll see.
Yeah, and I just checked the
Sure.
website too. It's not up. Is that what you just said too?
Okay.
Yeah.
So is there any way we can get a document that says this is a strategic plan?
Well, it's going to be online.
Well, it's going to be online?
I
They
can,
post
I
it?
can email her and request one if you'd like.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
why
Yeah,
not?
sure.
That'd be good, Karen.
Yeah.
Do that.
I'll do that.
Because we, we got to get through the fall meeting, but we can also do some of this stuff too, as far as looking at, because the planning process is starting much earlier than it ever has. Last year, they kind of put it together real quick to see where they were, but I think they're taking a more of a structured approach.
Yeah.
To do it this year. Okay. Carrie has agreed to take Parks and Recreation?
Yeah, I can take Parks and Recreation. I just need contact information and, where, I looked online. I didn't see where their meetings were posted.
Yeah.
I could have missed it.
They don't meet that.
They don't meet that up, okay.
They-
So,
well,
yeah.
They meet, but they,
Yeah, but not that often, Bob.
yeah, I know, they, and they meet in person, they don't do Zoom or anything.
Tim Lancaster would be, he's pretty responsive, so if you want to
Yeah.
know, what the schedule is or when,
Okay.
I think they're in-person meetings, I don't think.
Yeah, they are in-person
Yeah.
meetings, yeah, because I've gone to them.
I believe they're downstairs I believe downstairs near their office. I'm not-
Could you send me his email?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you.
So the only other one was ag,
I counsel on it.
that
Oh,
was the only one that was open.
okay, I'm sorry. I was gonna say,
Well, I thought we left it,
Leave it open?
yeah, if they want, if they're gonna have a meeting,
Yeah.
So do they not
let
meet
us know.
very frequently?
Yeah, they don't meet very frequently. If they're gonna have a meeting and they need a vote, then we'll send somebody. We'll figure out who wants to go.
Okay.
I had a conversation with Amy DePietro, Council on Aging. She said she didn't have anything that would be a financial impact, but she did say that she would sit down with me anyway, anytime I want to meet with her, just to make sure that there isn't anything that is worth mentioning, that might have financial impact. Right now, she doesn't have anything for the town.
Nothing with capital, I know she
No,
called, she talked to us.
She'd be addressing, would be for the next year's spring meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, is that it?
Just three things, Mr. Chairman. So just a reminder to the committee, September 10th, CPC is having their meeting for the Northern Scenic Greenway Park, Greenways. That's going to
Pathway.
be, yeah, 6:30 PM here at the town hall. I believe it's,
Yeah, I've got a conflict with that.
okay.
Is anybody planning to go? I'm not
I
going,
posted
and
it.
I know that John
In case-
is away.
Oh, I thought
I
Phil
thought
said he was
said-
going.
Phil's going to go.
Okay.
Yeah, I posted just so there's no issues.
Thank you.
Also, I've been working with Brian on on the form that was
Right.
developed last year.
Right.
We've had a couple of meetings, and we're tweaking that. So what I plan on doing is, at the next department head meeting, mentioning that to department heads, just to get them familiar with it. And I did mention that Brian suggested that maybe he come in and just, we go over it with them. So they're just, early on, they're seeing it again, so they're getting used to it. We've made a few tweaks to it, so, right.
So the
I'm still
department
talking.
heads have seen the form?
Well, they've seen it over the last couple of years, because we introduced
Oh,
it
correct.
like 3 years ago.
Haven't used it.
There was, as the committee knows, last year, some have done, some have done it
Right.
to a certain level. So we're trying to make it a little bit more user-friendly for them. And I've been working with Brian on that. The other thing, too, is I've met with Jim Kiley, over the schools. We've had a couple of good conversations initially about the budget and about his capital requests. So we're going to hopefully continue that dialogue. I know this is important this year, more important probably than ever to have that conversation early on. So I plan on having more of those conversations with Jim, but it was a pretty productive discussion. So other than that, that's all I have.
Well, you and I actually over the summer talked about school busing. I know you're gonna bring that up. to Jim.
Transportation, yep.
And I'd like to be part of those conversations with them
Mm.
when you feel it's appropriate.
Okay.
So September 30th is the next budget subcommittee. I'm sure they'll be talking about it there.
Good.
There was a long-term capital planning meeting, and I'm trying to remember, I know that they're working on a presentation to town meeting. Is that anticipated for the fall or the spring, do you know?
At the meeting, they mentioned, Magnolia had mentioned Chris had mentioned the fall, but I'm not sure if it's just gonna be an overview or a discussion of what capital, long-term capital is, or if they're gonna do a deep dive into what the actual projects are.
Correct,
Because
right.
we're still, I mean, the group is still talking about what the active projects are, so
Right.
maybe it's a little premature to go out there and talk to residents on what those projects
Yeah,
are.
I mean, we talked about so when you think about a report like that, one benefit is education to town meeting, and that's the point. And it's tricky because there's not a lot of specific detail if people are asking questions about, a
The
deeper
water
dive.
treatment plant, or,
But just to explain overall the fact that there's a long-term planning process in place is big, because it's something that I know Finance Committee had asked for a long time. So the fact that Select Board determined that they were gonna have this committee and they have representation for people, even though you don't see outcomes right away, the fact that the conversation's happening, that people are aware of what's, at every meeting, we're asked, is there anything that you're hearing about? So think about the, Serpent, what's it called? It's not the transfer station, but the one that we have the contract with Serpent for, and it's gonna run out in 5 years instead of 10 years, which is what we had thought about
You mean
earlier.
the landfill?
the landfill industrial park.
Oh, right,
Wasn't sure what word you were going for.
Yeah, well, this is what happens. Look forward to it. But yeah, that's a piece that enters into the conversation, and so it's helpful to have, different capital members, et cetera.
Yeah, I think it'll be almost like a primer of what long-term capital is.
Yeah,
And then maybe in the spring, start talking about the actual projects.
right,
The priority of those projects.
right.
I do have a question, Bob. In the last meeting, you mentioned presenting to the town what we actually spent for the different departments. Were you still planning, and how much money we brought in? Were you still planning on doing that?
Well, I'm going to do the analysis. I'm not sure I'm going to present it.
Okay.
I'll probably present it to the FinCom. What do you have, September 15th? I think Jim Kiley said he closes his book by September 15th, so we'll have some actuals.
Yeah,
School committee.
well, right now, we're doing the year-end report for them, so, but the actuals, they would probably have, maybe they're done now with them, I mean, we can
Well, I
reach out to
I
Jim.
talked to Jim last time.
Oh, okay.
He said, school's starting, he said, I just can't do it right now. So, so we should have the school thing.
We can probably follow up with them.
Yeah, I mean, this is, because, as a CFO, you can't understand a budget unless you understand the actuals,
That's right.
I agree.
And so I just wanted to, and it's, I'm agnostic on this. I just want to say, okay, these are the numbers, And-
I like the idea of presenting that somehow for the town to see.
Yeah.
Because I think, for me, I would like to see it. I think it's a good idea.
Could you send out a PDF of it? I know you probably don't want to send the spreadsheet and have, changes made on it, but I would like to read it, because otherwise I'm gonna be standing right in front of the
When
screen.
I get
to read
it, yeah. What do you mean you're gonna be in front of who?
When you present it here.
Yeah.
It's just like last time we met, you put it up.
Yeah.
I'm maybe a slow learner, I just need to be able to
No,
absorb the
yeah.
information more than looking at it that night, so it'd be
Yeah.
helpful to get it.
I'm gonna make it simple.
Yeah,
I'm gonna make it simple,
Yep.
Thank you, Bob. I appreciate it so much.
Okay. So, ready to go to minutes? Okay. All right, so we just have one set of minutes,
Set of minutes.
okay? So, the minutes from the August 22nd meeting to 2024. Somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Bill made a motion to
Approve.
approve the Finance Committee meetings.
I'll second it.
Second by Terry. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? I hear none. Okay.
Abstention, right?
And I abstain, because I
Okay.
was
Okay,
Carrie?
Terry was saying.
Carrie abstained, and, did you say something? Did you?
No, I abstained.
She was
Oh, okay,
telling me to say
okay.
that I abstain.
Yeah, all right. Okay. Any items not known 48 hours in advance? How are you doing with the two jobs?
We're doing pretty well with the position.
Okay.
I think that, it's juggling between, the budget now and coming into the budget and town meeting, but luckily, town meeting is only a few articles.
That's a
But
good thing.
I think the timing is good, because if it, obviously, the spring town meeting is a lot more involved.
Yeah. Well, we're getting more involved now, so, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah. And I'm always,
So-
the earlier we start with this, I think the better it is.
So you hired a collector, somebody to run the office now? Is
So
that-
we have a collector now.
You have a collector?
Shannon
Okay.
Lyonnaise from, she worked at the police department, but had previous experience as a collector, so she's now running the collector's office.
Okay.
So right now, we have a full complement in finance, we're,
So, yeah, you're fully staffed?
Yes.
You're fully staffed. And I noticed, I don't know, the assessor is not the assessor, or their
Well,
temporary
we had
assessor?
our assessor that was here, Richard Gonzalez, retired.
Yeah.
About 4 years ago, in an effort to try to find an assessor, which is probably one of the hottest positions in Massachusetts, along with billing inspectors and town administrators to fill. We were lucky enough to have someone in the office who wants to learn the position, has gone through a lot of the training, has passed a few of the tests, and so we're trying now to promote her internally. But it was a difficult, and Richard's still here, like consulting a little bit to guide her, but it's very difficult to fill the assessing position.
So
every
the
community.
term is acting?
Yes, acting, yeah.
assessor?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other positions that are unfilled, or?
No, right now, we have a full complement in the building department. We have a building inspector, the building commissioner, 2 building inspectors, electrical inspector, so that department is back full complement.
He seems like he's on top of things.
Yes,
the new
yes.
inspector. And so planning and town administrator are open, right?
Correct. Planning, we're going through the, the process now of trying to get the applicants and so on and so forth, but
So
that's,
it's posted, is that the
it's,
deal?
yes, it's posted.
Okay. Anybody have anything else?
Nice meeting, Bob.
What did you like best? That's an hour long?
Yeah, I mean, I've been on Finance Committee 6 years, and in the old days, we always went 2 hours, so I'm a little, it seems like, the meetings are shorter, and so I'm a little nervous about that. 'Cause I don't want to get everything boom right at the end,
Yeah, you won't. Next week,
Gary has assured
next
us.
week it will be, like I said, the articles and,
Probably a little longer.
and the article, yeah, next week will be the 2 hours. Next week will be the articles and the rationales. And CPC. And these gentlemen, if you want to have them back.
So are we going to be ready to start putting in our rationales and?
Oh, yeah, next
Next
week.
week? Okay,
Once
all right.
you take the vote, it's, and select board will see the warrant on Monday. So we're presenting it to them on Monday, so.
But they're not going to vote on it, right?
No, we still have until the 23rd, I believe.
Yeah, we still have time for, even for our rationales, in case we get into,
Yeah.
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 you never know. Maybe something going on.
Yep, that's all I have.
All right. Somebody want to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a move.
Okay, Carrie made a motion to adjourn.
A second.
Terry second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? None. Adjourned.
Beautiful.